In 2005, after everyone else had moved away or moved to the other side of town so I wouldn't see them all that often, my mother, brothers and myself was forced to move out by our landlord because they were selling up. We ended up moving outside of the town to a village called Shania. I love living in that country, surrounded by nothing but peace and quiet, with the odd occasional sound of a car driving by, a park around the corner from my house and nice hillside views. It's everything an introvert could possibly ever want in a place to live. Only downside was there is no shop in Shania, so you'd actually have to go into town if you was in need of anything. Other than that, it was a beautiful place. Nothing major happened in 2005, other than the whole process of moving places and continuing on with my passion of ancient Egypt. But in 2006, we introduced 3 new members into our family. My brother Sam had his first child, a son whom I had never actually met and most likely will never meet, and 2 golden lab dogs, in which we named Bonnie and Honey. The 2 dumbest dogs you'd ever meet. I'm not even joking, they are in fact the dopiest dogs ever. No word of a lie, one of them would go to the top of our stairs, while the other one stays at the bottom, and the one up top would come charging down the stairs and dive bomb into the other one. Then they would swap turns, and the other would go to the top and dive bomb the one at the bottom. Unfortunately, we wouldn't have them too long. We were only technically fostering the dogs until a more permanent home was found for them both. Giving them both up was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I love them dogs to bits. I have thought about them a lot in the past couple of years, and I always wondered if they're still around. Chances are they won't be, because Labradors have a life expectancy of 10 to 14 years, which would put them at the end of their life expectancy by the year of 2019-2020. Plus other things need to be put in perspective when it comes to that sort of thing. Illnesses, accidents, just to name a couple. They were such beautiful dogs though, full of life and energy, and while our time together was short, I won't ever forget having not only one, but 2 of man's best friends. 2007, other than obviously starting high school, it's pretty much the same as 2005. I don't seem to recall anything massive happening that year. However, 2008 was a decent year that I got a couple of things to talk about. Even though I had spoken about my passion for wrestling, I specifically left this part out so I can talk about it here. In 2008, not once, not twice, but 3 times, I went to Cardiff to see WWE live. The first time was in the WrestleMania tour in April of 2008. We had seen Raw the one day, and a couple of days later, they had the SmackDown Superstars perform. There's something so much different to watching them live as opposed to watching them on TV. One of the moments I loved most was getting to tap The Undertaker on the arm as he was walking by during his entrance. For the first 3 times of seeing WWE, we had really decent seats. We were sat in the corner by the ring steps that the majority of the superstars will walk up. It was great, except for one security member who really fucking ruined it for us by constantly telling us to sit down and not stand at the barricades. Keep in mind, this wasn't one of WWE's security, this was one of the arena security, so fuck him. We complained about him after the show had ended. If it had been the security for WWE, then yeah, fair enough, we would have sat down. It was actually during this time that I almost got ran over in Cardiff. I was with Ed and a couple of other lads, and Ed saw this Undertaker cardboard cut out in the shop window. Surprisingly, he still has it to this day. Anyways, he for sure looks for any oncoming traffic and takes a quick run across the road. I basically ran after him, head down, not looking for any cars heading my way. All of a sudden, all I hear was our mate Shane shouting, "Jesus Christ, he's gonna kill himself," in that sarcastic tone that he so often does. And according to Shane, everyone in the street just stopped and stared straight at me like a deer in headlights. By the sounds of it all, it was pretty fucking funny. Luckily though, I'm still here to tell that story. The following time we saw WWE was the SmackDown house show for the Survivor Series tour in October or November of the same year. Again, we had decent seats, but luckily this time, not a prick of a security guard there to ruin our joyous time. I would go on to see WWE live a further 2 more times before the eventual death of my passion for wrestling. 2008 was also the year in which I got spooked while ghost hunting. It wasn't even by a ghost. So in December of that year, me, Ed, Pike and my brother Sam went ghost hunting in the town's castle. When I say ghost hunting, I just mean we took a camcorder with us and recorded some shit. We caught absolutely fuck all, apart from maybe a small moan, even though I have my doubts over the legitimacy of it. Something that me and Sam has in common is how we got spooked out by the most dumbest of shit. Him being the one to get scared of the dumbest thing. When I was walking around the castle walls by myself, I got spooked by some dude coming up some steps from the outside of the walls. Ironically, that same area of the castle plays a part in another memory that I'll talk about briefly in a different chapter. Obviously, me and the guy exchanged greetings and I played it off as cool as I could to say, yeah, I ain't scared. But I distinctly remember saying on camera that shit me up. I wasn't expecting someone to just show up like that. Yet, what Sam got scared of was even funnier, and for the longest time we would take the piss out of him for it, as family does. He was looking down at this grated up hole in the ground saying shit like, "If a ghost shows up, I'm fucking running," or something like that. And he was recording down the hole. While he was doing this, all you could hear was a hoo hoo. He got scared of a fucking pigeon. Shit was hilarious. He thought it was a ghost, and only when he looked up the hole in the wall that he realised that it was just a couple of pigeons that was watching him. I had never laughed so much at something so stupid. 2008 was a really good year, and for the longest time it was my favourite. 2009 however came along, and that was the year that I got back in contact with Malcolm. We used to be so close back in our earlier years, inseparable at times. We had so many memories from us playing with a toy Nunu from the Teletubbies, and him eating all my Easter eggs, you fucking bastard. And then him eating my Christmas dinner in recent times. Again, you bastard. I think there's a theme going on here. I always have to remember not to leave my food around him. I joke, of course. We was really close, and according to an astonishing amount of people, we looked so alike that others would often get confused between the two of us. Shit kind of annoyed the both of us. It is what it is though, and ever since our reunion with each other in 2009, we would go on to become close again, just like the old days, just minus the Nunu toy, even though Malcolm still has that toy to this very day, which is kind of weird. 2010 was a weird year. It was the year where I moved to the town I'm still currently living in. I spoke a bit about this before, and how I resented my mother at the time for uprooting me from school and all of my friends. When I was accepted into my new school, I hardly showed up. I always walked out when I did show up, and so my dad suggested I move back with him, so I can go back to my old high school and finish school completely. Now, as I'm sure you're aware from when I spoke about living with my dad in 2003, that I hated it. I didn't really hate it this time, because it was my decision to move. But it didn't stop me from missing my mother. I lasted a total of 4 months living with him in 2010 through to 2011. I posted some shit on Facebook, and that led me to moving back with my mother. During 2010, just to name a few things, I went camping with Ed and Malcolm, which was fun. Malcolm and myself went fishing with Ed a few times, and one of those times we tried to light a campfire, which failed miserably. So we ended up camping in Malcolm's foster parents' camper van thing. Have you ever had the unfortunate issue of having to sleep in a small confined space with two other guys, for whom was currently not wearing any socks after a long walk? I have, and it fucking stunk. Worst of all, I was in the middle of them two, so no matter which way I faced, I was hit with a stink of sweaty ass feet. 2010 was also the year that I visited my mother around Christmas time. Well, she came to spend Christmas Day with me and my brothers, along with my grandfather, and we went back to hers on my birthday. During that time, I had met up with Malcolm and his then girlfriend, and we went to the same castle I had gone ghost hunting in roughly 2 years prior, and those exact same steps came into play again. This time I knew what to expect. However, this time there was a shadow on the wall. Malcolm and his then missus were shitting themselves, thinking some dude was hanging behind the wall, casting a shadow on the wall directly in front of us. "It's just a wall," I said, to which they replied said, "It's not, it's a shadow of a person." So me being the only one with my big boy pants on that night, I walked down the steps and took a look. It was a shadow, alright, of a wall on a wall. It was funny. It was also during this exact time that Malcolm's then missus came out to me, while Malcolm had gone on ahead and told me that she cheated on him, and fucking asked me not to say anything to him. Who the fucking hell does that? Bitch, of course I'm gonna tell him. Which I did. Shit kicked off, and I was accused of lying. I had no solid proof of her telling me that, so I had to bite my tongue and say I was lying, yeah. But I think Malcolm knew I was telling the truth, and at the very least I could sleep soundly knowing that I had put the first initial doubt in his head, which helped him find the actual truth out, even though it had been a good while after I told him that he would find out for definite.